Whoa. And we're live, and oh my God, where's Michael John? Michael John. Anyways, I guess I'm going to be your host tonight. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I am your host, Dale Quigley from High Spirits Paranormal, also part ghost host from the Paranormal Voice. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Michael John is slightly absent. Maybe he got kidnapped or abducted by aliens again. I don't know. We're gonna have to put out a search party for this guy. Anyways, guys, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in. You got me tonight on the side. If you got any questions for our guest tonight, make sure to reach out, say hello. Anyways, before we bring out our amazing guests, just got a few announcements to go over. First of all, guys, we are headed off. We are just a few weeks away, about 2 or 3 weeks away. I'm not sure. The date is not in my mind very clearly. But we are going to be at Potograph for Pooches this March 8th to 9th in Ann Arbor, Michigan. If you've not gotten your tickets already, I suggest you head over to potographforpooches.com. Get your tickets. Join us. It is going to be a fantastic weekend. Some of the most amazing speakers are going to be there. We're going to be there. There is going to be all kinds of people, and it goes towards a good cause. You know, you got to help out the animal shelters. You got to help out the pooches. We love our animals. So, guys, make sure you attend this year. Tim Malley, an amazing guy, does a lot. So we're going to be excited. That'll be our first event. Like I said, Pooches or Potographs for Pooches, March 8th and 9th in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So please go check that out. You will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic event. Also, too, right now, I've got a little bit of sad news, people. That's right. For those in the UFO community, we lost a good one this week. Mr. John Yost, unfortunately, has passed away. For those that do not know, Mr. John Yost, an amazing experiencer, amazing talker, great gentleman. We had the pleasure of interviewing him just a few years ago. We had such a great time talking to him, and it's so sad that he had to leave us so soon. But for those in the UFO community that knows John, we send our prayers and our condolences out to his family. And it's but anyways, for those who do not know John, he does have a documentary / movie that is out. It's called Alien Abduction Answers. You can find this on many platforms. So if you've not seen this documentary or this film, go check it out. It is amazing. Like I said, it is John's story about what has happened to him and his experiences with the UFOs. Go check this out. Like I said, our community, for the UFO community, the paranormal community, those who knew John or got a chance to meet John or even listen to him speak at the many events that he has done over the years. Like I said, what an amazing guy. And like I said, it's heartbreaking to know that he left us so soon. But like I said, once again, everybody keep Mr. John Yost and his family in their prayers as they go through these times. So, but guys, like I said, we are up for an amazing show. 2 people that I've gotten to know over the last, I'd say just about the last year or so. I watch their show as often as I possibly can live, but I really try to watch the replay afterwards. These 2 here are really good. They got a really good show. They're great paranormal investigators. And also we got Jenny, who is an amazing photographer. We're going to talk about some of her photos in just a little bit. But right now, guys, I'm going to bring out our guests. First, I'm going to bring out the lovely Miss Jenny Davis
Hello.
and her co-host, Mr. Russ. How you doing?
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Fortunately, Michael John is not here with us. He has either been abducted by Bigfoot or aliens. I don't know. It could be either with him. But I so appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
anytime.
let's get. I can see. So right now, I was like, I've got Unturned the Pages watching us. This is amazing.
Well, I have it sharing out to our page as a live.
So thank you so much. But we've got Paranormal Outdoorsman. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we got a Facebook user, Bonjour. Thank you. Hi. I can't see who you are. Let me look over here. Oh, that's Mr. Nick Sims. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, guys, we are. So I'm so grateful to finally be able to sit down and talk with you guys. Unturn the Pages happens every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Right?
9
9
p.m.
p.m.
P.m. my time, Eastern time.
Yep.
And Russ, you have a show,
Correct.
Compass of Curiosities, that happens every Monday at 9
Correct.
p.m. as well. And
Correct,
that Jenny over there, I don't know how this girl even gets time to sit down and breathe, because
I don't know.
if she's on photography, she's got like podcasts all over the place. So her and Candy do a podcast every Thursday. It's called Whispers
Within.
Whispers Within. Like I said, you guys are both busy. And here I do one podcast and I can't even find the time to do anything else. You guys got two podcasts on the go, plus your lives to go on with this.
Yep,
well,
I'm
Jenny's
a
got a lot
mom,
going on
I'm-
behind the scenes as well. She does all the producing for my show as well as all the graphics and everything like that. So she does a lot.
You know, it people don't realize just how much work really does go into doing podcasts. I mean, yeah, it would be great just to turn on your computer, start up, and go do your thing, but like behind the scenes work is just nonstop. I mean, for me to do one show a week, like I find that takes up at least 4 days of my time, just trying to plan, do things, research, and try to discover everything I can about our guests. So I'm going to start this off. Jenny, I'll ask you the question first. What got you into the paranormal?
2008, when Ghost Hunters was premiered, that caught my attention. It was something new, something interesting. 2010 came, and Brandy Green of GHI and Rob Demarest was hosting an event here in Minnesota called Parasoda. It was a 3-day event. I said I have to go because I've been watching Ghost Hunters International as well. Saw them on TV, and I'm like, okay, I want to go learn, meet these people, learn, investigate, and that kind of really got me into the whole paracon, paranormal scene, and creating my family, I guess you can say.
And I'll tell you, yeah, no, having a paranormal family it is so amazing. I don't know what I would do without my paranormal family, because I'll tell you, they help me keep together so much.
Definitely.
Russ, what about you?
My journey started probably about 11 years before Jenny's. 1997. My family actually is the one that got me into the paranormal. My dad was part of the historical society for Mansfield Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio.
Oh, my favorite place in the world.
When the prison shut down, it sat vacant for a little bit until they figured out what they were going to do with it. And I was 13 years old, and my dad was like, "Hey, do you want to come down and, help us do a cleanup?" I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool to do. Why not?" Went down there, and it was probably 6, 7 o'clock at night. We finished up, and they were like, "Well, if you guys want to stay, a couple of the volunteers are staying. You can stay and investigate if you want." So my first ever investigation was at 13 years old at Mansfield Reformatory. So ever since then, that's kind of just taken off from there.
Oh, sure. I'm 52 years old, and I just did my very first investigation at OSR, and I'll tell you what an amazing place. So, doing it at
Really
the
is.
age of 13, dude, you deserve a bronze medal for that one because as a 13-year-old myself, even though I've had my experiences since I was 8 years old, I don't think prisons were on the top of my list to be investigated. So
Yeah.
that is truly amazing. Had the guts to do that at 13 because I know what I saw when I went in there, and I was like, 13-year-old me would be still hiding in the closet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in 2000, what, 11, 12, I met Russ at an event or place in Wisconsin, and he's been stuck
Mhm.
with me since.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question: is how did you guys get together? And
Worst 13 years of my, I mean, best 13
Oh,
years of my life.
shut the like
uh,
we watched each other's radio shows at the time, met through a mutual friend, and then he came to Wisconsin, and ever since he's been stuck with me, and yeah, I won't let go.
She's the little sister I never wanted.
just want to say a quick hello to Kim Sage on the side. Thank you, Kim, for joining us so much. I met Kim last year up at the Sage Paracon in Virginia, and what amazing medium. She has a show that comes out every Thursday called Sage Advice with Kim, right there on her Facebook
Awesome.
page. But yes, no, I mean, I've met so many amazing people through doing podcasting. I mean, it is such an outlet. So, what got you guys to come up with Unturned Pages?
Jenny and I had previously done a show together
Yep.
eons ago, and we both kind of took a break from it. And then I got back into it. I started a show called Batteries Drained. That was on running roughly for about a year and a half, 2 years. And once I shut that one down, I kind of was just like, I want to get back into it because it's something I really enjoy doing.
Mhm.
And, of course, I talk to Jenny all the time, and I was like, hey, I know you're doing a show right now. Like, what do you think about doing a show together?
Yep.
And so her and we sat down for about a month, and we hammered out all the details of it and everything, from the name to the graphics to everything. And started Unturned Pages 2 years ago?
2 years ago, because we announced it at Las Vegas Para Unity, and
yeah. So, and then I took a short hiatus for about 6 months because, life. But I came back on, and it's been a wild ride ever since.
Yeah, it's been nonstop. It's been fun because Unturned Pages definitely was not my first podcast or radio show. I had Paranormal Hotspot. I had Proximity Paranormal radio show. I helped a few other friends. So this isn't my first rodeo. It's definitely like when I was helping my friend get her guests. That taught me a lot. And then I got my first one and my second one. Took a little break because I had a little girl and some other things happening. And then we came back with Russ and did Unturned Pages.
I mean that is. I mean, it's so amazing that two good friends can really enjoy doing a show together. I know, me and Michael John, we've been best friends since grade 5, actually.
Oh wow!
And it's hard to believe that we've got all these years, and I mean, we were always at different spectrums in our lives, and we always wanted to do something together because it was actually Michael John that actually got me into doing paranormal investigations. I mean, I used to love all the shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters. Used to watch them religiously. And I always thought, because of what happened to me when I was so young, that I was like, wow, that's fascinating. And then Michael John one day just called me up. He goes, guess what I'm doing? And I was like, I don't know, because he's a guy that dabbles in everything. I mean, talking ex-professional wrestler, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was like, I don't know, what are you doing now? He goes, I'm a paranormal investigator. And I was like, what's a paranormal investigator? He goes, we go into abandoned places and look for ghosts. And I was like, okay. And he goes, hey, want to come on an investigation? So yeah, I went on my first investigation. It was like potato chips. I just got so addicted to it
Yep.
that I actually found something that I truly loved to do, and it was all downhill from there. And then I did stuff. I started my team. He was doing his thing, and then it was almost 2 years ago now that we started the Paranormal Voice as well. We started out, there was four of us, and then it just sprung from there, and here we are 2 years later, rocking it, hanging out with cool people like yourselves, doing what we love to do.
Yep. And like at Michigan last August, you came up to me and it's like, oh my God, you're Jay of Unturned Patriots. I was like, oh my God, somebody actually listens to my show. It threw me off so much when you came up to me and introduced yourself. I was like, oh, okay. I remember messaging Russ. I'm like, somebody came up to me and recognized me from the show.
No, I followed you for a while, and then I was listening to your guys' show, and then I kept seeing you a few times. I was like, why does that girl look so familiar? And and I'm trying to run through my head, like, have we met before? Do I? And then it was like, I was going through my phone, and your picture showed up, and I was like, oh, that's her. Oh, cool.
Yep.
So I was like, next time I see her, I have to talk to her. And apparently, I did the same thing to Sarah. We were up at Mid Michigan, up in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Oh, at
the Midwest, or no, Mid Michigan Paracon.
Yeah.
And we were just there. Me and Michael John just went up to attend because it was an event we've never been at before. So we're like, hey, let's go check this out. We got nothing to do today. So we went up there, and Sarah walked in front of me, and I was like, and I saw the B on the back of her jacket, and I was like, oh my God. I said, Michael John, that's Sarah from Paranormal Blonde. But see, I'm too shy to talk to people most of the time. And it's funny because people are like, you do a podcast, but you're shy to talk to people. And I was like, that's why I got Michael John, because he'll talk to everybody. That's his wrestling background. He's used to just approaching people.
Mhm.
So yeah,
that's normally why I leave booking guests to Jenny, because she goes to all these conventions and everything. She has all these connections, and she's a pit bull when it comes to getting guests.
Mhm.
He is relentless.
Ask Brian Kano, ask Johnny Zappis, ask all these people who have been on the show. Like, I won't let down. Like Adam Kimmel, I've tried for 2 years, and I finally nailed him down for next weekend. Yep. Chelsea Layden from Project Fear, Destination Fear. I've known Dakota and Tanner for 10 plus years. Like, they lived like 20 minutes from me, and we happened to meet up at a haunted location down in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And he had just submitted his video to Ghost Adventures, and he actually found out the next day that he won it. And I happened to meet him, and I have pictures of it. It's like baby Dakota and Tanner with hair. Like the big football Tanner. So every time I see them, they're like, do you still have that photo? I'm like, yeah, you want to see it again? They're like, God, I can't believe we've known each other for 12 plus years. I'm like, I really can't either.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, that's what I loved when I started going. I attended my first Paracon in 2014, which was the MI Paracon. I never even knew Paracon existed until that time. I just happened to, because I was just learning about the paranormal, and I was like, I wonder if there's like some place I can go and learn more about the paranormal, talk to people. And I was just Googling, and the MI Paracon came up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Love that.
I was like, I got to go check this place out. I walked in there, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in like paranormal heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, like all these people are on TV. And I got really nervous. And a friend of mine that I was with, we were just walking around, and I was like, I was too shy to talk to anybody. And then I met my good friend Mike Hartman. I don't know if you guys ever met Mike Hartman.
Yep.
Mike and Stephanie, love those guys. They are the So yeah, Mike's like, "Oh, you're from Canada," and I said, "Yeah, don't hold that against me." He goes,
Oh,
"Oh, I'm from
Canada.
Hamilton, Ontario," and I was like, "Cool." And we just headed off, and so we started talking. And he goes, "I said, oh, I don't know anybody here." He goes, "Oh, don't worry." He goes, "I'm going to." He goes, "I'm going to introduce you to everybody."
Oh, he did that to me the first time I went to Michigan too, and now he's asking. He keeps asking when I'm coming down to Atlanta, where they live.
I know. Yeah, he keeps asking me, but you know,
I want
like,
to.
I would love to go down there and hang out and see those guys. It's been so many
Go
years.
down to like Savannah, Georgia, and everything. I'm like, dude, once I have like a set schedule and I can know what I'm doing, and I'm not at a paracon, not an event, I'm coming down to Savannah. You could show me everything about Savannah and Georgia. Like,
Oh yeah, no, yeah. They seem to have a gorgeous place. Uh, so yeah. But anyway, so you are also an active paranormal investigator. What was the first place you investigated?
I think the real first place I investigated was, I want to say, the Grant House out in Rush City, Minnesota. That was one of my first ones, and then I think my second or third one was Waverly Hills and Bobby Mackey's, and then I went to Villisca. All within like the first year of investigating, I've done all these big places. And then ever since, I've been hooked.
So out of all the places you've been, what would you say was your most intense experience or something that freaked you out the most?
Russ knows this answer very well because it comes back and haunts me every time I talk
Yep.
about it. Villisca in 2011, I believe, 2010, 2011, we went down to Villisca Monore House down in Iowa. First time I went alone with my group at the time without my mom. It was perfectly sunny, gorgeous day. We went to the graveyard with Johnny. He showed us where the graves were. We got to the house. It started to get a little darker. He gave us a tour. He left because he had to go to a couple towns over to get some stuff. And then we started setting up equipment, and all of a sudden we hear bang, 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 bang outside. And we all looked outside. It started to hail, like golf ball, big size hail. That hail broke all the original windows on one side of the house, and
Wow.
glass was flying in at us. We had 8 people in the house at the same time, and 8 people got murdered. So the person who I was with is like, we're all going to die. 8 people got murdered, 8 people here, we're all going to die. And I just remember freaking out and calling Johnny, and Johnny's like, it's sunny, it's nice where I am. I'm like, we'll come back to Villisca to the house and you'll see how fine it is. And he comes back, and we have it on voice recorder and all this like recordings and stuff. He goes, this is the worst thing that's happened to the house since the murder. But while he was out getting wood to crack up the windows and stuff so we could continue our investigation, we had left to go out to the barn. Some people went to go get food because we were all freaked out. We're like trying to figure out if we were actually going to continue to do this that night. On the recorder, we actually have an EVP of what it sounds like. The killer killing one of the girls down in the
Wow.
first level bedroom where Ina and Lena and the 2 neighbor girls slept. We actually have an EVP, and Russ has heard this multiple times and he can't debunk it.
I'll provide my sense on this after she's done.
Yeah. You can hear like the man, you can hear a hatchet, you can hear the girl scream. It is the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, emotional EVPs I've ever caught. I remember somebody was listening to the recording on the way home, had the noise canceling headphones on. She threw the headphones at the driver. We had to all pull over and listen to it, and we were all in tears. But throughout that night, we were getting little kids interactions. We were getting the dad. We had our names called into our ears up in the attic before the storm even hit. We had shadows. But yeah, Villisca holds a very special and kind of creepy place in my heart. And I think I'm finally to the point that I can go back after 10 plus years now to go back and face whatever happened. But like I told my friend the other day, I'm like, if it starts raining, hailing, anything, I'm out. I'm at the hotel in like 2 towns over. I'm not
Oh man, that is amazing EVP. I would love to hear that sometime because that EVPs are such fascinating.
it really
You can get, like you said, you got such an amazing recording, and stuff like that. That is truly amazing.
it was
Before
amazing. Yeah.
Before you speak, Russ, I just want to say hello to Bonnie and Stephanie and the lovely Miss Sarah Jane,
Mhm.
Paranormally Blonde, and Get Haunted's own.
Yeah.
One half of the cult leaders. No, just kidding, folks.
But
Just kidding, folks. No,
Melissa,
I'm getting a kick out of the whole Get Haunted posts
we're
that
not
are
a
going on.
cult. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Right.
you know what? They're such an amazing group, and you know what? And that's what it's because of Get Haunted brought us all together.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
and this is we're going to be talking about P3, the P3 program, and all the amazing shows that are on there in just a bit. So, Russ, with you, I know you're an active investigator. So, do you want to finish Jenny's story, or do you want to talk about something first?
Hold on
Oh
one
no!
second.
Oh God!
Funny thing is, whenever I talk about Melissa, the EVP will show up on my phone, and it's not on my phone. I've gone through several phones since then, but somehow
wow.
it always appears on my phone as we're talking about it. So if it goes off, I'm not surprised.
I have that email saved in my folder in my email, Jenny. So
Yep. Yeah.
no, Jenny reached out to me. She said, "Hey, I just went and did, an investigation at the Villisca X murder house, and we caught something." At the time, I was doing a lot of, I wouldn't know if you want to call it freelance work, but I was helping out a lot of other groups with audio because I was really big into Audacity, Soundwave, things like that. So I was able to go in and clean up files and, not compromise the original file, but clean it up a little bit to where it becomes a little bit more intelligible to understand.
Right. Yeah.
She sent me this one, gave me no background whatsoever on it. And here I am, and I got my laptop out. I'm going through it, and the first time you hear it, there's a lot of background noise to it, but you can hear things in the background. I'm like, okay, there's something there. Cleaned it up, and next thing I know, I'm sitting here in Ohio, and I'm pretty much re-listening to a murder that happened.
Wow, that's amazing.
I had a little girl myself, or have a little girl myself, and just hearing this, I'm a 30-year-old man, and I'm just sitting here crying.
Right.
Like I'm just busting into tears, and I'm like, oh my God. And like,
yeah,
even to this day, that is still one of the best EVPs I have heard.
it
and
is it's crazy.
It's creepy to hear. It's gut wrenching. It's definitely. Oh, did you find it?
Yep, I just found it. That's
Okay.
the link to the EVP if people want to listen to it.
Oh, cool. Well, there you guys go. So, anybody on the site after the show, if you want to go check out that EVP, because I know I definitely will be.
Make sure you have headphones on.
I've got them going on right here. I'll probably put them through my earbuds because they're a little bit better than these ones.
Mhm.
So I really want to take it all in because, like I said, it's EVPs of something that's always fascinated me the most about them. I will take a really good EVP over a photo any day because photos are good. It gives you a visual, but with EVPs, you're getting it right from the actual source. And that type of communication with the other side has been something that has been so fascinating to me in how technology, but even back like when and Lorraine Warren were doing EVPs on a reel-to-reel. Like, I would love to find a reel-to-reel and actually try to go and get what it would sound like on a, because that is the rawest form of recording you can ever do.
Oh,
And
definitely.
there's no way of tampering with it because it's on it's on a tape. It's not digitally recorded, so you can't mess with it at all. So yeah,
I don't
EVPs
break it
are
out
like,
very. I don't break it out very often, but I actually still have one of the mini tape recorders
oh
that I
wow,
use to investigate with. I started back in the day when we didn't have all this fancy equipment out. We didn't have all these bells and whistles. So, I mean, we had a tape recorder, we had a flashlight. I mean, that was where you were headed pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
and back in that day, that you were probably high tech back in those days, not like days now where you're bringing 17 suitcases with you because they're all
God.
filled with electronic equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a raw type of guy when I go investigating. I have my EVP recorders. I have a couple of cameras. But for the most part, I don't have like any SLR cameras. I don't have any special night vision cameras. So I'm I'm just as raw as I can go. I go in with myself and I feel the place out, and my recorders will give me the answers that I was picking up with. So Russ, while you were now you've been investigating for quite a while. Where was your very first? Oh wait, we know OSR, 13 years old. Here we go. Uh, okay, so give
I
us.
say my first investigation, but I was still very green and it wasn't expected. So it wasn't like we were prepared for anything. So it was
Right.
kind of like, do I call that an investigation or do I call that my first taste of investigating?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's your introduction into the paranormal field, really. I mean, everybody hears the stories of OSR. For people who've not been to OSR, it is definitely a worthwhile trip to Mansfield, Ohio. Parapsychon is coming up this May 17th to the 19th.
19th. Yep.
An amazing event, but if you can just go on one of their either get a group of friends together and go do a private, or they always do public guided tours and stuff like that, which, like I said, the place is absolutely amazing. So
Actually, something they've started to do within the last 15 years, I want to say, is now that the prison's actually cleaned up pretty decently. They have a good crew on there helping clean up the prison and everything. During the days, on the weekends as well as during the weekdays, you could go in there, you pay $13 and do a self-guided tour. So they literally, you pay $13 at the door, you walk in and you could roam that building for as long as you want to. No one going, hey, come on, let's move. But take your time.
That place is so massive, though. I mean, it would. I mean, I know we were there from 6 o'clock at night until 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll tell you, and I'm sure we probably did. I have to book another investigation to go back to finish up the rest of the building that I didn't get to see.
Yeah.
So, Russ, what would have been your most freakiest, scariest event in the paranormal? One that will, like, you can remember today. It could have been like 30 years ago.
Probably when he got lynched.
No, that was more of an experiment than anything. It did scare the hell out of me, but that wasn't the craziest. I was a location called Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. We went there a couple times. I was actually with another, Bonnie, meeting Jenny. That was my scariest part. But we went there a couple times with a couple different teams, as well as my team. This was back before the days that it actually premiered on Ghost Adventures. So we've always had really great activity at Hillview, always did. I got invited along to help out as a special guest to do some filming with a group that was going to be there. And the video's up on YouTube. You can actually watch it. I'll give you the information for it, but we were in the boiler room, and I was wearing a pair of headphones like you were wearing, or you are wearing, one of like kind of the split neck headphones. And we're standing there, we're doing an EVP session, we're filming, and I was there because the team that was filming had never been there before, so they called me in as like the expert, I guess you would say. And I hate that word, but
Me too.
we were in the boiler room, and I'm not talking the basement area. I'm talking the actual, like, you walk into the building, you go straight down the flight of stairs, and that's where all the boiler rooms are. We were standing there, and in my past investigations, I'd been there. Something down in that boiler room does not like me. Now, I don't know if it's the tone I have when I do an EVP session or whatever it may be, but it seems to be that male spirits don't take kindly to me because they may view me as a threat or opposition or competition. But they were standing there filming, and I remember, and I looked off to my right-hand side because I heard like almost somebody walking down the stairs coming into the boiler room. And you see clear as day on camera the right headphone cord come out and come right across my neck.
Wow.
And immediately I reach up and I'm just like, okay. And I had to ask the guide, I was like, were you filming on me the entire time? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you need to go back and look about 20 seconds ago. And you actually see me on video because I was wearing a necklace that had medallions on it, because I always wear a St. Michael and a St. Benedict medallion when I go investigating. Always. And you could see me in the video, like, going, like, moving my neck all around, trying to see if it caught on something, like it caught the headphones some way. No way it was possible that it did. But yeah, there's actually video of the headphone. Actually, you see it like bump out and then just come straight across my neck.
That is crazy.
Think about it. We were getting no EVPs. We were getting nothing. And we got no EVPs from that because we had 2 audio recorders running. We had a flashlight running. We had a bunch of different things running. And the only thing we caught was the video.
That I mean, I don't know.
The video is enough itself.
I don't know, anything put itself hands or anything around my neck, I'd be like, no, I'm done. I'm out of here. See you guys later. Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where see, I'm the other type of person. I go down and I'm like, all right, we'll do it again. You did it one time, do it again.
Do it again. Do it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my first time at my second time at Waverly Hills. Like, first time I went was right before my high school graduation. Nothing really happened. Second time, I was more open as a psychic medium empath. And I remember, like, I was fine on the first, second, third, fifth. But the fourth, where the OR rooms are, I was getting that feeling going up the stairs, like, I should not go on that floor. Like, something's going to happen to you. You need to stay off. But I was on a walking tour. You can't really not go somewhere when you're on tour. So I went, we saw the nurse on right, the doctor right, and then we went down to the OR room. And as soon as I stepped over that threshold, it felt like my chest was being ripped open, things going into my lungs. I was bent over, screaming, crying, like I couldn't breathe, but I was like literally crying and screaming at the same time. And the tour guide's like, what the heck is going on? I'm like just like screaming and like crying. I stepped out, and all I remember seeing is like the shadows like running around me, trying to pull me down. I'm like, it took me a good 3-4 hours once we got out of Waverly Hills to calm down. Skywork, Rick Hayes, Rosalind Brown all had to help me kind of like calm down and remove what was attached to me at that time to finally like stop hysterically crying, because I remember just crying the whole time on the way home and in the death chute and everything. I'm like, I can't get this off. Like, I don't know what's going on. And Sky's like, did you not like shut yourself down? I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, this is my first time going into a haunted location as a psychic medium empath. I'm like, I don't know. He goes, you're doomed if you don't learn how to shut your stuff down. I'm like, okay, you teach me this then.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, going into a lot of places, and especially when, I mean, I know everybody has some type of empathic intuitives,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you don't know how to protect yourself when you're going into a lot of these locations, and something gets attached to you, I know I had my experience at the Hinsdale House, something that truly. Bothered me for over a year. Like I couldn't even talk about the Hinsdale House after my what happened to me there because I was so traumatized by it. I would start shaking and visible and get sick just thinking about the house itself. Amazing place, though. Like I said, for anybody who is a paranormal enthusiast, somebody who loves the ghost hunt. Dan Class, very amazing guy. I love Dan. Dan's and like I said, he was such an amazing guy. But the Hinsdale House was my very first investigation that I ever had, where it was so intense that I couldn't even go back the second night. That it was that bad. I could. The group I was with, they all stayed behind. They did a second night. I came back to Canada because I was it messed me up, but I promised Stan that I would go back one day to face my fears because he was the one that made me realize that in the paranormal world, you can't let these things, you can't fear what's out there because it will control you. So yeah.
Do you want to hear a funny story about the Hinsdale House? I've never been, like we talked about before the show. Never been. When Russ came the first time to Wisconsin, he brought a friend at the time who spent a lot of time at the Hinsdale House. This so-called friend, we don't really talk about it anymore, brought a attachment from the Hinsdale House. And
not a friend.
Found out as soon as I hugged him or got whatever, that spirit attachment jumped to me. And this was 2011. And I didn't know that I had a spirit attachment. My grades went down. I wasn't eating. I wasn't acting myself. Jenny Stewart, who was a good friend of mine and Russ's at the time, was like, you know you have a spirit attachment, right? And my mom's like, okay. And we figured out it's from the Hinsdale House. So up until this year, I'm like, I don't want to go to the Hinsdale House. I've already had that experience. Like I had that thing come from Hinsdale to Wisconsin, jump onto me, cause havoc in my life. And this year I'm finally going to go and face the Hinsdale House for the first time. I'm like, so you don't even have to go to a location. It can be from someone else and it can jump to you. And it's right because you don't have to be at that place. You've never had to step a foot into that place to get a attachment or a feeling of a haunted location. It can come from someone else.
Oh, I would agree with that. Yeah, you do not have to be at a place to experience something that happens at a different location. I kind of got experience with that when I did my very first Get Haunted event. Was the Palmyra in Palmyra, New York. I brought my oldest son with me. He's really into the paranormal, so we. So I brought him along with me. So he tried the Estes method that they did at the location. They did the experiment was they had 3 locations on the same night.
Mm-hmm.
Each location did the Estes method, and they like each location was asking questions of another location. My son said that from the moment he put on the headphones and the blindfold, the very first words that came through the spirit box into his ears were, they told him to run.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, he didn't know what to do. He was like, yeah, whatever. And then he kept going. He went for like 20 minutes, I believe, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But he said the whole time he felt like somebody was walking around him, and then somebody would touch him on his left shoulder. And then finally he got so dizzy he had to tap out. But after we left Palmyra, for days on end, he kept seeing a white building that he's never seen before. And I got
Was it the White Hill Mansion?
Yes. So whatever came through the headset or the spirit box freaked him out. But it came from what we believe is White Hill Mansion, because I showed him the picture that Kyle has on his Facebook page. He says, "Yeah, Dad." He goes, "That's the building I keep seeing in my dream." I said, "So whatever spirits were there, were trying to bring him there." Same similar situation happened to me with the Hinsdale house. Is after I left the Hinsdale house, it kept calling me back. I would have visions of the Hinsdale house.
Yeah.
So that's
I love those type of stories. I love Estes method. Like, that's my thing. Like, whenever I go to a haunted location, I do the Estes method. I really don't pay attention to what the spirit box is saying. I use it as like a white noise type of thing and channel. And as my mom and a few of my investigator friends have known, when I channel, I get deep into it. Like, my whole facial expression changes, my voice changes, everything changes when I do my channeling. And I can get super deep that it's hard for me to even get out of being. Like,
have you ever seen the movie Airplane, where they're all lined up beating the hell out of the guy on the plane? That's how you get Jenny out of the. That's his method.
Yeah, Russ has seen it via Facebook Live. It's hard to get me out because I'm so like deep into the channeling and trance. Like, when I come to it, I'm usually like locked, like my body can't move, and it takes me. I think last time we went to the Monore House in January, and it took them about 5 minutes to get me out of it.
That's the Estes method is something that I've tried once. We were going to try to do it at the OSR, but we never got around to it because the night flew by so quickly in there. So either Russ or Jenny, either one of you guys want to explain what the Estes method is, just in case somebody who's watching today or watching down the road doesn't know what the Estes method is. One of you guys want to explain it to them?
I could do it. So Estes method, if you've ever seen Kindred Spirits, they often do it with Amy and Adam. It's when you put headphones on, connected to a spirit box. It's usually the PSB7 or whatever one they choose of the choice. Put a blindfold on, and you are sweeping through all the radio channels. And if you hear like hello or something, because when you sweep through the channels, it goes by so fast, you shouldn't get full words, full sentences, anything like that. And whatever comes through, you say. And someone on the other outside of the room, inside the room, at a different location, are asking you questions, and whatever's coming through the spirit box, through your headphones, you say. Unlike me, I don't use that really. I use it to channel, to kind of block out everything around me and just channel.
And it is amazing just how deep you can go when you're under the Estes method, because it is like being segregated from the rest of the world. You can't hear what's going on around you, and it's kind of freaky the first time you ever do it, because you've got the white noise going through your ears. You can't see anything because you got a blindfold on, and obviously most of the time you're in a dark place anyway, so even if you didn't have a blindfold on, you still wouldn't be able to see anything. So
recently I've been using the Delco glasses, which are like the red flashing lights.
Okay.
Have been just like, I think in July they started to be produced and sold. That tends to get me even into a deeper trance because of the red lights are just like gets you very like equaled and not paying attention to anything else. I've been using those, and it seems to really help too. If you don't want just a black blindfold, get the Delco glasses, or the ones that I can't think of his name. He makes some. I can't think of his name. Bill Chappell makes some kind of glasses too. But use those during the Estes method might help people too. I like them. It's very interesting with the Delco glasses.
Like Bill Chappell, he is an amazing guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. Actually, he was at the MI Paracon
Yep.
this past year.
Mhm.
Yeah, what an amazing guy, and I got to
He
meet
is
him years
amazing.
before that. But yeah, what he creates some of the most fascinating and amazing equipment that is out there right now. So it's so like I said, he is a genius in himself. I know he doesn't do as much of it anymore,
Nope. He's
but
semi-retired.
uh, but I mean, well deserved. I mean, he created a lot of devices that is used. Probably every show in the paranormal field's got a
Oh,
piece of Bill Chappell's
definitely.
equipment out there.
Definitely.
So,
Real
Russ, what
quick,
about
Dale.
you?
Chris,
Yes.
real quick, Chris actually made a good point in the chat here, saying she doesn't do the Estes method because doesn't like feeling open and vulnerable. That's basically what the Estes method is for.
Yeah.
Is to take away your senses to make you open up more to that. And it is psychic mediums and everything will tell you it is a very double-edged sword.
It very is. Very much.
So I mean, there are people that are comfortable with doing things, and there are people that are not comfortable with doing things. Unless you have the people you can trust to take care of a situation, which may be an attachment, something like that. Don't push yourself into a situation where you're not comfortable.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, Russ. I mean, a lot. I mean, the paranormal field. Yeah, I mean, we kind of push ourselves to be outside of our comfort zone because we're as adults, we are our mindsets, and we're told what to believe and what not to believe, and stuff like that. So when you're putting yourself into a situation like the Estes method, yeah, I mean, it takes away a lot of your senses because you are so trapped with headphones on and blindfold on, and you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, you have to be around people that you truly do trust, and know signs too that because sometimes as yourself when you're in the SS method, you can't necessarily just snap out of it, and because you're so deep, and so you're like almost in a trance state that you have to have people that are around you that can see the signs like body stress, shaking of the body because and just pull you right out and say, okay, you know what, you're done. And some of the best investigators that I've seen, because I know when we were at Palmyra, Joe B, him and his son were there. He did the SS method. Even he himself was like there's 3 people that did it at our location, and all 3 had very similar experiences, which is truly amazing that they all experienced the same thing as each other. So it is definitely something to try, but yes, use extreme caution whenever you're trying any experiments. And I would always tell people never do an experiment alone because you don't know what you. I mean, it's no different than doing anything else. You're essentially opening a portal, and you don't know what's going to come through that portal. And like you said, you get attachments and stuff can happen to you. For people like myself who suffer from mental illness, like if you get an attachment, it can wreak havoc on you and send you into a tailspin that you might not be able to get out of. So be very cautious and whenever doing any experiments. That's my PSA for the day.
I will not do an Estes method at an event. Like if it's a public paranormal investigation, I 9 out of 10 times will not do a Estes method because for people who aren't used to seeing an Estes method, especially kind of ones I do, it can get very scary. And people get nervous and their energy builds into that session as well. So if you're not going into a location with the best attitude, the best intentions, and then somebody does an Estes method, it can really screw up the person who's doing the Estes method. So
Jenny knows my story as to what I lecture on, and attachments is actually what I actually lecture on. And
So public events, I don't do Estes methods because I just don't. You don't know the people around you unless you do, and public events are very hard because you don't know the people, you don't know the intentions, you don't know the mind frame they're in. If it's the first time they're a seasoned investigator, you don't know. So I tend to just back away and just kind of blend in with the crowd on a public investigation because it's there for the experience. But I'm not going to sit down and do an Estes method in front of 20 something people I don't know because I don't want issues afterwards. I don't want them to have issues afterwards.
Oh no, and I can agree with you on that. Is that because like you said, when you go into any investigation, I mean, you have to be in the right frame of mind. You have to be you have to be with it, more or less. Like you can't go in there because, well, I mean, sorry for anybody's grandmother that just passed away, but your grandmother just died. You don't want to go and do an investigation because you're an emotional wreck. And that's how attachments happen is when you are when you do go into places and you're already vulnerable to begin with. Russ is looking around like he's done something bad.
That's what Russ talks about on his lectures is attachments and going in with
I normally give a 45-minute lecture, but I'll break it down by the cliff notes for you real quick because I know we're kind of running out of time. Unless you want to go over a little bit, and I'll tell the full story of it.
Hey, it's my show. I can take as much time as I like.
Okay, all right. Well, I normally lecture on attachments. Jenny heard my first lecture in 2011, out in Wisconsin.
Well, probably before that, but yeah.
Probably, but actually dealt with an attachment. So, my group had booked Bobby Mackey's for an investigation. My grandmother at the time was in the hospital. She wasn't doing the greatest, but she was still there. And I told my dad, I was like, I'm not going to go, I'm just going to stay here, whatever. He's like, no, he's like, go. He's like, you already paid your money for it. He's like, who knows when else you're going to be able to get in there? Because this was back when Bobby Mackey's was really big, where you were like the year waiting list to get into it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm like, it's far from home. I 4 hours, but it was, my team of us, so I think we had 8 of us with us, and we all took 2 cars. So I was just like, I talked to my grandma. I was like, look, I'm going to go do this investigation, and this was a couple days prior. And I'm like, I'm going to go do this investigation. I'll come back the next day. I'll come visit you. We'll sit here and play cards like we do. Because my grandmother was my mother growing up because my parents both worked 2 jobs, so I was pretty much raised by my grandmother. So she was near and dear to my heart. And she's like, don't worry, go enjoy it. This is what you do. She's like, I'll be here when you get back. Okay, cool. So day of the investigation comes, pack everything up, call my grandmother. She's doing great. I'm like, all right, cool. Drive down. Team's having a blast doing it. We had 2A radios on the way down. We're making jokes the entire way down. Everyone was in really good mood. We pull in to the parking lot. We're getting out. We're taking pictures of the outside of the building and everything, kind of stretching our legs. And my cell phone rings. It's my dad. I was like, okay. So I pick it up. He's like, hey, did you guys get there? And I was like, yeah, we're standing here in the parking lot. And I sent him a couple pictures. And he's like, okay. He's like, I want you to enjoy your investigation tonight. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then he just kind of went silent. I'm like, what aren't you telling me? He's like, so after going back and forth with him for a little bit, he came out and said that, hey, your grandmother just passed away probably about half an hour ago.
Oh, wow.
So I knew already going into that investigation that I was emotionally compromised. I shouldn't have gone into that investigation. But I drove 4.5, 5 hours from where I was. There's no way. What am I going to do? Sit in the car the entire time they're investigating?
Right.
because I didn't bring my car with me, so it's not like I could just turn around and drive back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, went into the investigation. A couple days after, came back home, figured out everything with my grandmother for her services, this, that, everything else. And then out of nowhere, just a string of bad luck. I mean, I was already depressed because my grandmother just passed away. I'm dealing with that. My wife ends up leaving me. I lose my job. I'm on the verge of getting evicted from my apartment. Like, everything just went downhill. And I had friends that were like, we're worried about you. And I'm like, it's nothing. I'm dealing with it. It's fine. And of course, me being the guy I am, where I'm fine. So I went in October of that year and did an event down in Kentucky with Chris Dedman and Jenny Stewart. Again, Jenny Stewart coming back into the picture.
Yep.
Went and did that event with her, and her and I were standing outside smoking, and she was like, looked at me and goes, you have abilities, right? And I was like, what do you mean abilities? Because this was still back around the whole, like, what do you mean abilities? Haha, psychic, me, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you have abilities. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. I didn't believe in psychics. I was just like, whatever. And then we were standing outside after the event wrapped up. We're all standing outside having a drink and everything. And she came up to me. She goes, there's someone I want you to meet. And I was like, okay, who? So she brought me over to the shaman. I can't remember his name, but he did a little energy reading on me. He's like, you have an attachment, right? And I'm like, what the hell's an attachment? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's an energy that jumps onto you. And I was like, okay. And Jenny's like, it's a bad one. We need to get this off of you. It's like, okay. Of course, me being me, not believing in any of this. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm fine. You just don't know me. And the entire next day at the event, I avoided her like the Black Plague. And it wasn't intentional. It honestly was not intentional. It was
the attachment.
I would, she'd walk into a room and I'd walk out. And I'm just like, okay. So that night she finally cornered me and was like, we need to get rid of this now. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll let you do your little thing, whatever you do. And I think most of it was the attachment speaking, going, okay, I know what you can do, but, I'm going to play it off as like, whatever. That night, it took them 45 minutes to pull the attachment off me. It took 3 of them.
Wow.
I tell you what, I have never been so sick in my life after I had that attachment removed. And Dale, I'm not kidding you when I say the next morning when I walked outside to smoke, and where we did the removal, where I threw up, I'm like, because I'm walking out there, it's October, and I'm like, great, I'm gonna have to go out there with like a shovel and clean up my vomit off the ground. I walk out there and there's literally a dead patch of grass.
Oh my God.
Right where it happened. When I went back home from the event, everything in my life turned around. I found a new apartment that was cheaper. I found a job that was paying better. My wife came back. Like, it just all in that instant of a weekend just turned it around. So, but what you said hit on a good point. Never go into an investigation emotionally, mentally compromised.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, in investigations, I mean, yeah, for the most part, there is a lot of good spirits and positive energy, but there's always negative, and they want to feed on the weak, and because we're vulnerable. And I mean, with me having suffering from mental illness, I have to go in with so much layer of protection because I know I'm a beacon, and to them I'm a weak link. But yeah, I know I'm strong, but inside I'm weak, and I get that. So I have to go in with like I've had some of the best people in the industry teach me like how to really protect myself with the white light and everything around me.
Yep.
And I know my limits, and I know when I have to step back, and I know when to try to push and when to not push. But yeah, it's yeah. People that go in there and they're not mentally uh, stable because of anything that's going on in your life. Like, yeah, like you said, loss of a job, loss of family, whatnot. I mean, people don't realize that really, yeah, on the outside, you can say, yeah, I'm fine, but mentally, you're really not fine. So, yeah, it's always good to go in with a clear head. Russ, thank you so much for sharing that story. Like I said, it's somebody out there that will resonate with them and go, yeah, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. Because people don't realize what attachments can really do
Yeah.
to you. And I mean, health wise, uh, you, but yeah, so
If you were to see pictures from before the attachment was removed to after the attachment removed, you could see a complete physical difference in myself. Like
wow,
completely.
yeah,
Like I had one person look at the picture and go, "You look 10 years younger than what you did."
wow. See, when I had my attachment, for almost a week, it was like I watched a point of view camera of me living my life.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt for an entire week, was everything I said, everything I did, going to work, watching, like talking. It was like I was watching myself do that. It was like I was on the outside looking in. So it was the
You were
most
living a
strange,
version of the Truman world or Truman Show.
right. So yeah, it was really, really crazy. Um, but yeah, attachments can really do some serious damage to people, and like I said, yeah, it's not something to play around with, people. It's serious, and if you're not strong enough, it can do even more damage. So once again, I want to say thank you for sharing that story with me.
Of course.
But like I said, it's because of shows like this and us talking. I hope people out there really listen and pay attention to what we're talking about, and the do's and don'ts. Like I'm all for somebody going in there, experiment, do your thing,
Oh yeah.
but my God, just be careful what you do, because we're dealing with energy entities, whatever you
And
want
you
to
don't
call
know.
it, that what's coming in, and they can disguise themselves very easily as somebody who you love and trust,
Yep.
like a parent that's passed away, a grandmother, or
Yeah.
anybody. You trusted these people, and that side knows it, but they're not in. They want to be able to get inside you, so they play to be nice. And I tell people all the time, like even in dreams, when loved ones come to us in our dreams, you still got to be careful, because they can be posing as
Yep.
somebody who you truly love. And I've had that instance. I lost my dad back in 2005. And he's always with me. A lot of mediums will come up to me and say, "Do you know there's a guy that's standing right behind you?" "Yeah, it's my dad." "How are you sure?" "Does he look like this?" And I'll hold up my phone. They'll be like, "Yeah, that's him." And I'm like, "That's my dad." But yeah, so I actually had a dream one night. My dad come to visit me at a house that we lived in when I was much younger. But in the dream, he did something that my dad would never do. And it puzzled me, like why this was happening. And I was talking to medium friends of mine, and they said, yeah, that was a negative energy posing as your father, because they wanted to get inside. They wanted to break that barrier so that they could attach themselves to you,
Yep.
and do whatever it is they want to do.
I've been staring at this question.
Which one? The one I just...
I kind of have an answer for it, and I think Jenny would agree. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I say it's very unlikely because attachments are energy. They need to feed off your energy to attach to you.
Yeah.
Therefore, I believe you have to be physically present for something like that to happen.
I agree.
So if you enjoy watching investigations and everything on, TV, your phone, whatever, I'm 99.9% sure you're in the safe on that one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most of them want to get to you while you're at a location or in the presence. But like Jenny said, she got an attachment just by hugging somebody who had an attachment.
But that was a physical exchange of energy.
Yeah, that was, They were like, oh, I'm going from this one to this one because she's a lot stronger. She's got more energy to go through. But like I said, we could probably do a whole show on attachments, which... Russ, I would love to have you back and talk about that because I think there's a lot of people that don't understand just anything about attachments and how it happens. So we will. That is something we will definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So Jenny, you are a photographer and you sent me some of the most amazing pictures. So I'm going to bring up it was a very difficult decision of all the group that she sent me of, my God, what do I want to choose here? But I'm going to bring this up. And like I said, Jenny, you got such a talent for this. This was the very first one you sent me. And I'm like, holy crap. That at first I'm thinking, is that a painting or is that for real?
That was at the Stone Mansion in Indiana. It's not that far from Randolph County Infirmary / Asylum. It's up in the top floor, like the attic area. I use Photoshop. I kind of make it kind of more like vibrant, but I really don't do a whole lot with Photoshop. I just thought that was a beautiful picture, and I just needed to brighten up the colors a little more, and that's what came about.
Yeah, no, that is such a fascinating picture. Like, I mean, looking at this picture, it kind of reminds me of the scene from the original movie, The Crow. When they're looking out the window over the city, you've got this really cool view. So I love this.
I love the windows up there because he had them built, so he was very into looking into the stars. So the windows are kind of like angled so you can look up into the sky.
Oh, wow.
So the really cool old windows up in that attic of the Stone Mansion.
Like I said, that is a cool photo. And then I was talking about this photo backstage because this, my God, this is so amazing. Like the shot is like, wow. I mean, that is just mind blowing. So talk about this photo.
So this one is at the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park / Craven's house. That's the house that's in the back of it. It's all in Tennessee, down by Ruby Falls. It's just not that far from Ruby Falls. That day it was very foggy, very misty. We had just gone to Ruby Falls, done the tour of the falls, and we just happened to find this military park, and we're like, my mom sits in the car, me and Candy ran out. It just was like taking pictures of everything and anything, and I'm like, this picture looks like you're in like Gettysburg. You don't feel like you're in Tennessee. You feel like you're in Gettysburg, walking the grounds of the battle. It feels like you could just look and just feel like something will walk out of that fog.
Yeah, no, I mean, such an amazing photo. Like I said, you've got a really good eye at what to do. And we're going to look at this last one. Like I said, folks, she takes amazing pictures. And this one here, you said it was taken in Pennsylvania?
No, this was actually at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, which is down in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. It's an
Oh,
old
okay.
hospital. Ronnie D owns that one as well as Old Harriman. First time I went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital was in 2013. We had just gone back a couple times last year and the year before, and I moved the wheelchair out from one of the rooms and took this picture because no one was down in that area, and I'm like, this is like the perfect shot. I will use any product or anything that's in the haunted location around it and create my picture, to create the picture I want. What's in my vision, I will make it do.
Yeah, no, this looks like a scene out of a horror movie. You're just waiting for some serial killer to come running down the hall at you. So, like I said,
so
another fantastic picture. Jenny, do you have these pictures anywhere else where people can go and check them out?
You can check my page out. It's called Stories Within on Facebook. The crow like slogan of it, I have to look it up. It's like, we were here once as well. So funny story, we were at Rock Island Paracon in October, and a psychic medium was going around doing kind of like unwanted readings on people. And we all know Scott Greenwald passed a couple weeks before, in like September or whatever. And he had came to a box session with me a couple weeks earlier at Old Baraboo, but he wanted to mostly talk to Scotty Warwick, which was fine. And then I was down at Rock Island, and he came through and said, you need to change what you're doing with your photography. You're doing it more with the historical, history, paranormal side. So you need to kind of refocus, rebrand. So that day I came up with Stories Within, and the slogan is, we were there once too. So it's like telling the stories of the spirits in that building or that location. I like doing haunted photography. So I will, if I'm at like the Monore House, Ohio State Reformatory, Indiana State Sanatorium, I like to take the pictures of those haunted locations and tell the stories of the spirits through the photography.
Wow, such amazing and such a talent. I mean, people that have gifts, you obviously have a gift with photography. So, guys, the hour has come and gone. I've had such a pleasure of talking to you guys. I'm going to give you guys this opportunity to plug whatever you guys want, where you're going to be, your shows, upcoming events. The floor is all yours. Whatever one wants to start first, go ahead.
Well, this week, tomorrow actually, we have Scott Porter and Stephanie Burke, who just had a show out this past October, I believe. The Secrets of the Asylum at Eloise Asylum. They'll be coming on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, we have Adam Kimmel, who owns Madison, Fairfield, Indiana State, Billy Creek, all those really amazing haunted locations that are coming out or have been out. He will be on Sunday. Thursday, I have Josh from The Searchers on with Candy on Whispers Within. You can check that out on the P3 network or our Facebook page, Whispers Within. I will be at Polygraphs of Pooches in March. I will be at Penhurst Paracon in May. Michigan, Gettysburg. If there's an event, most likely I will be at. So anyone can look me up on Facebook. I will always post which event I'm going to be at, because I do aura photography as well at events. So that's really fun, because I get to tell people what their chakras are, what their chakra levels are, where they have to focus on healing or fixing, and then giving you your aura color, which is the energy around you. But yeah, I'm mostly all over the place. I have a ton of investigations coming up, including Wildwood Sanatorium with Josh and Shane from The Searchers. I have Hinsdale. I have Madison Seminary, which I'm super excited about, because Wes got me hooked there last year. Like, we were stuck in Ohio after the Ohio State Reformatory Con, and I was like, I'm bored. I need to do something, because we were stuck there because we had like deer went out in front of us on the highway and totaled our car. So we had to wait until we couldn't leave until we knew what the insurance company was going to do with the car. And Russ is like, "You're not that far from Madison. Go to Madison." And I'm like, "Fine, okay, I'm going to go check it out, see what this all big hype is with Russ and Madison." And I walked in, I'm like, holy crap. Now I know why Russ loves this building so much.
It's not
So
hype.
No, definitely not. And I'm like, okay, I got to come back for a private night. And so I'm going back in May, which I invited Dale to, which I'm super excited if he could come and do a private investigation. I'm talking Adam into coming that night because I haven't met Adam in person yet. I've done a lot of talk with him on TikTok and Facebook and stuff. I'm like, I'm coming to Madison. Can you please be there? Like, I want to investigate with you. Like, you're like one of the top people on my like wish list to investigate with. But yeah, I'm all over the place. So
what about you, Russ?
And physically. So I used to live in Ohio. I grew up in Ohio. I was born and raised. I moved about almost 8 years ago now. It'll be 8 years this year. I moved to the furthest East Coast, Massachusetts. I'm actually on the South Shore. So I've had the best of both worlds of the Midwest and the East Coast and everything. When I moved up here, I made a lot of good contacts. I'm actually part of a preservation society called Warner Paranormal Preservation Society. Also another P3 network host, Matt Warner. And we have 2 locations we're running now, but we're in talks to get a couple more locations. And we're all about the historical preservation of these places. We do a lot of great events. We have a Easter egg hunt coming up here in March for the kids at one of our locations. We have a murder mystery dinner that sold out within a week of us posting it at one of the locations, which is going to be really cool. We do all sorts of events. As far as speaking and everything, for me, the only event I do every year is the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. And this will be my 7th year doing it. Would have been 8, but dear COVID. You ever want to see an ugly sneeze, you got one coming, but Jenny's been trying to get me to travel more, but I just don't have the time or the resources to be able to do it. I'm not like her where I can book investigation after investigation and event after event, I know this year it's only February. I know this year I'm not going to get out of her flying me out somewhere. I know that for sure. We actually had an event we were supposed to do a couple months ago together that she actually bought me a plane ticket for, and unfortunately the event was canceled. So if I know her, she'll get me somewhere at least. But yeah, I do the bash. I help out with Warner Paranormal Preservation Society. We do a spring parafair and a fall parafair every year. Those are great successes, great vendors. No speakers. It's just a vendor hall and everything like that. We do the expo every year. We did it first year last year. It was a great success. We had Get Haunted come out, Dave and Sarah. Great people. I actually met them in person. Well, I can't say that because I actually met them at Gettysburg the year prior. But I kind of stay a little low key. I only stay like local to investigating. Even though I have traveled the world, I've done Alcatraz. I've done the Washoe Club in Virginia City. I've done, places everywhere. And, home's home. Home is home. So, I mean, I've been focusing more on helping out the Preservation Society, and kind of my podcast with Unturned Pages and Compass Curiosities. It was weird. I was actually talking to my wife earlier about, I'm like, it's going to be weird being on the other side of the seats. So, because I normally don't get interviews. I'm the one doing the interviewing.
I can feel on that one. The few shows that I've been the honor to be a guest of, I think the most scariest one I did is I actually did Andrea Purin's show. Oh, World Awakening. I
Oh
love
yeah.
Andrea to death. Andrea's one of my best friends. I love that woman.
Oh,
She is so amazing.
it's
When she asked me to be on her show, I was like, okay, I could die today, and I'd be a very happy man. I was on Andrea's show,
I
but
know
to be
it's
on the other
funny.
side and to be on
Yep.
the hot seat, I totally get it. So yeah,
It's
but I appreciate you guys coming on.
it's
You could catch
funny.
you can
Uh,
catch Jenny and Russ every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the P3 network, which is part of the Get Haunted program. Thank you to everybody. You can also catch Russ every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Compass of Curiosities. He had a great debut guest, or a relaunch guest, really. The Godfather himself, John Zaffis, an amazing man. I love that guy. I could just sit there and listen to John talk all day.
I know, right?
If you get John Zaffis and Tim Shaw in the same room together,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
it is absolutely it is hilarious.
It's called
So yeah.
Michigan every year. Michigan
Uh,
Paranormal.
but yeah, no, like I said, so you catch these guys and many, many amazing shows on the P3 network. Get over to Get Haunted's public page, sign up. You'll get to see all these amazing shows, unturn the pages, and then you catch Jenny once again every Thursday night on her shows, The Whispers Within,
Yep.
with Candy. Like I said, all amazing shows. These guys, I'm so glad I got this opportunity to talk to you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys hopefully down the road. Russ, I still have to meet you in person. I met the lovely Jenny in person. And,
We'll
and by
get
the
there.
sounds of it, we're going to be hanging out some more this summer or this
Yep.
Paracon season. So I look forward to it. So, guys, thank you once again. I'm just going to say goodbye to our friends. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to say a proper goodbye backstage. So, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. Jenny, Russ, like I said, amazing guests. And we cannot do what we do without having great, amazing guests like yourselves joining us. So, guys, each and every week, catch us right here on the P3 Network every Saturday night at 1 a.m. A brand new episode drops on KGRA streaming all over the place, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Go over to KGRA, find our show, follow us over there, catch a great episode each and every week. Next week, we have another P3 podcaster coming here. We have Mr. Richie B coming our way. That'll be on the 21st. Venture Richie B. I can't wait to talk Bigfoot with that guy because I mean, we love our Bigfoot guys. But I enjoyed this hour talking to you guys. You guys stay healthy. In the meantime, everybody, be kind to one another. In the meantime, and in between time, we'd like to say happy huntings.
Happy huntings.